Recording.
Good day, everyone. This will be my first video post in a long time and my first vlog. So welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I am out on my Tiger 800 XRT. I haven't done a feature of this bike yet, but I've had it for a few years now without any real complaint or issue. It's a sunny, chilly day in London. It's beautiful. And I'm on my way to Triumph for some annual servicing. But I'm also hoping to do a test ride of either the Scram 1200 or possibly a Tiger 900. I think those are, if you like this style of bike, I think those are the most obvious choices if you're looking at a new bike. I think there's tons of reviews of both of those out there. What I'm really looking at today is, whether either of those can really stand out compared to the Tiger 800. The problem I've got is that the Tiger 800 is such a good bike in terms of an all-round package that it's very hard to consider what's better, if I'm honest. Triumph really did a good job with this bike overall. You got the 800cc triple engine, about 100 horsepower, and something like 80 newton meters of torque. It's absolutely brilliant all-rounder. This is the road variant XRT with all the upgrades like heated seats, cruise control, what else? Fully adjustable suspension. I've got 2 charging points for devices, as you can see. Passenger comfort is great, luggage ability is great. Long distance riding is amazing. It's got a very good adjustable screen. What else? Pillions are very happy. The ride is happy. It's all good. There's very few things I can critique about this bike. They have, improved the engineering for the 900, I have to say. I've read about that bike to death. So, what edge does it have over this? Well, first of all, you've got an increased capacity. You've got about 10% more torque. Okay, that's great. But is it worth trading in an already previous top-of-the-range bike for that, given that there's quite a big jump in price? I'm not sure. Secondly, we've got electronic suspension. That's nice. I was actually sent the Triumph survey as a Triumph customer, which I think they must have factored into the building of the Tiger 800, and they asked Tiger owners, what kind of suspension would you ideally like on a new adventure? And I think I, like many people, said, we don't want this, semi-active stuff, because we know it's going to push the price up astronomically. Frankly, I'd be happy with no tool suspension adjustment, as in not having to get a screwdriver out. Better yet, electronic option where you manually input rather than having the damping and suspension adjust for you automatically, which sometimes can get you the wrong result. And I'm really pleased to see that they seem to have taken that feedback very seriously, and so they've got electronic suspension in the GT Pro, and they've got manual adjustment on the GT and the Rally Pro. Which is fine. You need to take a pillion, you just give it a quick couple of turns on the new suspension unit, and you're good to go. It's very quick. It's probably quicker than using the electronic option. So I don't think that would put me off getting the GT rather than GT Pro. What else? So it's still maintained the same style of bike. It's added a beak, which I think personally is a bit ugly. I prefer the no beak 800 XRT starting. It is thinner, seems to handle the heat better. This bike does get very hot in warm weather, particularly. And then there's the quick shifter, which I have to say I have tried on the Rally Pro, and it is amazing. It's by far the best quick shifter I've ever tried, up and down. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal engineering. I really have to applaud them for that. They're putting, top of the range features on a middleweight adventure, so that it gives you that versatility between adventure, sport, commuting, etc. It just makes your life so easy. It's really impressive stuff. So you've got all those things to consider if you're looking at the 800 versus 900 Tigers. But there is the cost to factor in. Looking around the internet, even 900s with used status and a few thousand miles, you're not going to find a top spec Rally or GT Pro for less than 10k. You're just not. Whereas you can find lots of options for the 800 XRT or XCA, I think it is, for around the 6 to 8k mark, which I think is a phenomenal deal for this much bike. As I said, you're not really losing much compared to the previous model. Right, coming to Vauxhall now. On my way to visit Triumph London. Let's drop a gear. I mean, the handling is very precise on this. That is, I think, solely down to the wide bars. On the 900, they've pulled those a bit closer. I didn't really notice the difference when I tried the Rally Pro. So as you can see, I'm now on a Tiger 9. Tiger 900 GT Pro, to be precise, in red. And listen to that. Whenever I hear this engine, it just shocks me. It's essentially a twin pretending to be a triple. Or a triple pretending to be a twin, I'm not really sure, but it sounds exactly like the twins. It's astounding. It's the engine note is almost identical to the Ducati Multistrada 900. And in red, it really does remind me of the Multistrada. It's very strange feeling. Completely different from the previous generation. Completely different. This engine has a lot of character. I am taken aback. I'm playing around with the electronic suspension. I can feel the bike lowering now because I've just lowered the preload. It's phenomenal. I really love that. This bike feels very slim. It's very slim and it's very small compared to the 800. And I almost hesitate to lean it over properly. Look at that. There you go. Because it feels like I'm riding a big twin that's going to tip over if I lean it too far. So I would definitely need to get used to riding this. Let's use the clutch for now. I'm going to try out that quick shifter soon. You definitely need to get used to riding this because it's just so different. No question about flickability here. This is a very, very sporty chassis. And I did a U-turn earlier, and it is significantly easier to do a U-turn on this bike than the 800. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the center of gravity, maybe it's the wheelbase, something like that. But if you're commuting and you're hustling around town, this is definitely going to be an improvement on the previous model. 100%. Another thing which is really great is that this is a stock exhaust, but it sounds fantastic. I don't think I'd want it any louder. Don't think I'd want a different tone either. It's very low, grunty sound. Exactly like a twin, as I keep saying. One thing that does slightly annoy me, it's very minor gripe, with the 800, is that it does need to rev quite high and get very whiny. I've got an arrow exhaust on the 8, so it does need to get quite whiny and loud when you get up higher in the rev range, and I think that does put some people off the bike. But if you like the sports, I mean, I was kind of wanting a sports bike, high rev, because it's fun sometimes with the gearing to be able to just leave it in a low gear and just really hit the maximum torque. This one you don't need it. I mean, the torque is really there. You can really just punch it. And you can feel how light this bike is because the wheel wants to come up when you just rev it off the line. It really does. This is really the perfect amount of power and torque that you need. I've set the suspension to sporty, but in fact, this is still very comfortable, I would say. I like to feel the maximum damping and suspension that you can get when I test ride, simply because that will give you the best cornering experience, as long as you don't completely overdo it. Like, it gives you the best impression of the bike's capabilities. So I've got it set on the damping side at sports mode. We'll take it around the roundabout and back. Let's see. So I've tested the electronic suspension, top marks. I've given the quick shifter a couple of goes. I'd be interesting to see how it does in low revs in the first few gears. I don't know if you're actually supposed to do that. You'd never normally use a quick shifter for first gear. I think that's just weird. But let's see how it goes from first to second, second to third. I mean, they've done a fantastic job with this bike, I have to say. But there is a price to that. It's quite an expensive bike for a mid-capacity adventure. I suppose 900cc is not really mid-capacity, but it's below 900, so it's an 888cc engine. There will probably be a 1200. This is the top of the range spec. I think new you're looking at 13k. I mean, the bike wants me to overtake him. It's just telling me, just let fly. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to test the quick shifter instead. We're going to go third. No noticeable difference, no jerk, nothing. And we go down to second. Fine. Shiny new road for this to be tested on. In terms of cornering and lean, I don't think it's that much better than the old bike. I wouldn't say it's a massive improvement there. It's just because the old bike is, the 800 is so good. It's just a very good bike. You can't really beat it. I was interested to see if the weight distribution really made a difference, and I think that's what I'm feeling, where it feels a bit more leant over in the corners than I'm used to. But I think I would just get used to that. I think it's just a experience thing. Oh, what a silly, silly move. I'm now at a red light when everything else is green. But we can use this to play with the suspension. Let's check the damping. Now this is weird. The damping doesn't actually adjust like this. It's very strange. You actually have to go into another menu to adjust it, and I don't understand why. I've not read the manual, so I cannot confirm. But the representative kindly set it up for me. It just is a different way of changing it than I expected. You're not really, from what I understand, I don't think you're going to be able to easily change that on the fly, which is a slight disappointment. I think, if anything, you'd want to adjust the damping very frequently, depending on the road. So that's a bit of a surprise, that one. It's not a major issue because, believe me, anything is better than having to lift the bike up like you have to do with the current generation, the previous generation, with the 800. I don't know how you could actually change the damping without a center stand. There is damping, rear damping adjustment, but you really need a center stand to be able to get to it. It's right at the bottom of the shock, right at the bottom of the bike. You would be very skilled to be able to change that without any additional accessory. So, yes, having any option to change that electronically from the bike is the way to go. Is it that important, though? I don't know. I don't change my damping anymore. I used to play around with it, but I don't need to. It's fine. It's good. It's set up perfectly for me on my 800. I've set it up. I don't need it. Let's go around these guys. Aha! Revenge of the lights. Oh, sublime. I think I've got a good feel for this now. I don't think I need any more, really. Not really sure how this screen. Not really sure how this screen would do touring. It's quite small compared to my previous one. It's very thin. Apparently, it does a good job of deflection. I do get some head buffeting with the current one if I've not set it at the right height. But that's the same with any bike with a tall screen and a tall stance. It's not really going to be any different. It's a cool electric bike there. The future. Let's go. Let's give it some lean now. Yeah, it's fine. Because the engine's a little bit lumpier, it's not as easy to predict yet for me as my 800, because that is a very smooth, linear acceleration. This is a little bit lumpier. But it will rev as well. It's lumpy and it revs. It's very strange. 20 miles an hour. Turning right. Yeah, I can push this down. Yes, that front suspension is superior to the old units, definitely. Let's check. Yes, this is a very well suspended bike. It's incredible. I love it. So, back on my bike. Freshly serviced and full of pep. It's good. It feels good. Feels very good, in fact. Guys at Triumph London, a fantastic job. I would definitely recommend it as your dealer of choice in Central. Well, it's the only dealer of Triumphs in Central London, but yeah, they're great. Really great. Final thoughts on the Tiger 900. Do you know what? Stepping back on the Tiger 800, I'm actually not sure I can really tell the difference in that mid-range torque that you know is there, but the engine's a completely different character. But I don't think that 10% difference is really that visible. When I do crank it here in first, you do get that same urgency that you do with the 900, but it feels different on the 800. It just sounds different. Different firing order. So yeah, would I get the 900 if you already have an 800? For me, I'm not sure it's enough to account for the difference in price. I mean, I've put about 10k miles on this, so yeah, that does knock my value down a little bit. But I guess the main thing is that I'm just so happy with this bike. That's really what it comes down to. I'm just very, very happy customer with this Tiger 800. So much so that I can't really see any real incentive to upgrade to a new model. For me, it's something that's got to be so groundbreaking and so superior that it's got to be worth that cost of upgrading, because, you know, let's face it, these are not cheap bikes. These are top spec adventure models with all the bells and whistles. Thank you, sir. That's very, very constructive. What a douche. Let's sneak ahead of him. Yeah, you still got that urgency on this. Do you need any more acceleration? I'm not sure. This is enough. It's enough for me. It is not the rip your arms off feel that you get from the 1200 twin engines. That is true. You're not going to get that excitement. But where it lacks excitement, it makes up for in smoothness. And actually, I think smoothness is the key to riding well and getting places quicker and handling corners better. And what's weird is that even though this is an 800 compared to a 1200, I think I'd probably get round a twisty stretch of road faster on this bike than I would on my previous Thruxton 1200. The Thruxton was definitely faster and accelerated faster, but it didn't give you as much confidence in corners as this bike does. I can't even, I wouldn't even lean this bike over as much as the Thruxton because the tires are thinner. But because of the width of the bars and because it's so well suspended, you have a lot more confidence. And I wonder if that would be the case with the Scrambler 1200. I mean, that one has wide bars as well. So I had to sit on the Scrambler 1200. And it's just funny how, you know, different the modern classics feel compared to the modern bikes, namely the triples. They just, those classics just feel so rugged and solid, and everything feels like it's hard metal. It's very cool. Very, very cool. I'd really want to go on one. Wasn't able to take one out, unfortunately. That will have to be a separate video. But yeah, so final thoughts, I guess, on the Tiger 800 versus 900s. I think if you've already got a Tiger 800 top spec, I don't think it's worth upgrading. Controversial. But I just, yeah, for me, it's too much of a step up in price to be worth it. When the 800 platform was so good, it was the, you know, it's like the last, the most refined version of that family, and now we've got the first iteration of a new engine platform. So they kind of perfected this one, which makes it really hard to justify extending that out to that outlay for an incremental model, even though it's not incremental. They've completely redesigned it, but you know what I mean. You sit on the 900, and if you come straight off this bike, you know where everything is. It's the same model family, which makes it very easy to get on and use. But I'm just not sure it's worth it. I'll have to see. Maybe in a few years, if I find one with high mileage and it costs me very little to upgrade, then maybe that's the way. But it's not going to set your hair on fire changing from the 800 to 900. You might be better off doing something completely radical, like going to Rocket 3 or something like that. So there we have it. That's my my 2 cents. If you have any particular burning questions about what these bikes are like to ride, or just some general observations about life, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Cheerio.